Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Energy of the Week. And I'm back with my girls, the wise women from the Ancient Healing Academy. We haven't been back together for a little while. We were talking about it, that we missed each other because we all be going through a lot of different things in our lives. And now we're back and just to come to you with this energy of the week. But maybe we can talk for a couple weeks, because don't you guys feel that the energy is being like intense? And it's going to be more intense in the next 2 weeks. That's what I'm feeling. I don't know if you feel that way too. So the next couple of weeks, we'll show you, we're going to tell you what the energy is about. But in my way is that I've been feeling lately is there's a big division going on in the world right now. And there's a big division going on inside of us. We don't know what's happening, what side to choose, even within our own self. Like, we have a decision, we have two decisions, and then we struggle with both decisions. So I don't know if any of you feel like jumping in and talk a little bit about that. Susan, what do you think?
Well, my thing has been COVID was the great pause. Now we are in the great transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is exactly what's going on. And I've had the conversations that we are fully in 5D right now. And so that's that division, that schism right now. And we had a whole YouTube video before about what 5D feels like. And it feels like we are not going back to anything that we referred to as normal. This is the new, and it takes some adjusting. It certainly has been kind of scratchy and wobbly and up and down and all over the place emotionally. So that's my sense of what's going on. And it's going to take a while to get that so it feels more comfortable, and more people are starting to enter that world as well. So we've got our work cut out for us.
Yeah. I agree. Even if that division is happening between the upper world, I want to call it, and the lower world, we're letting go. It's not just the COVID or the new world. It's just the lower vibrations and the higher vibrations. As in, I'm talking to you about it, I'm getting chills, you know?
Yeah.
Suzanne, what do you think about that?
I think right now we're being governed by the mind, and that's where the split is coming in, the divide. And we have to go back to our intuitive and our spiritual part, because when we are governed by the mind, it takes away the surprise and the intrigue and the joy and just the intuition that we use to move through our lives. And instead we're typing in what we want to know and having someone else tell us, and using, we're not using our own intuition. And I think that's where the divide is. That's what I think. Absolutely. Especially working in the new dimension.
Yeah, and also that happens because a lot of people are looking from the outside. It's always been that, but we see it more, correct? It's always been people looking on the outside to satisfy the inside. Mm-hmm. And now this is telling them, don't do that anymore. Don't be in this logical mind. See if you can balance it. But people are still divided, they're still struggling with this. But it's more apparent, I think. You can see it more in people. So Kathy, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's really true. I feel like they're kind of the division, the divide goes with the transformation. It's like we're trying to find a new way to connect and to relate and to kind of navigate all of what I think of as like, there's almost been a lot of turmoil and energy and like miscommunications, and being able to kind of navigate that, find our way so that we can get to the other side of this divide, to bring these lower worlds together, to reconnect to that intuitive place that's maybe based more in our, true essence, our sense of love. So I really relate to what everybody is saying here. And I feel like it's sort of making us be patient in a different way. I don't know if you guys are experiencing that, but it's like, you were being patient during COVID and this great pause. I love that language, Susan. But now it's like a real patience with that reintegration almost, I think, off that transformation idea of like bringing these parts of ourselves, these parts of our world that maybe are in opposition or are, trying to kind of realign with each other, to bring those back into alignment. And I think it's a really challenging time in that way.
Okay. Well, overall, it's about, what we need to tell people is about them not feeling divided, but that's very difficult to do, correct? Because they're feeling so divided within themselves also. It's not just COVID or not COVID or, freedom to fly or not to fly, freedom to be or not to be, which is that I just kind of mentioned, Suzanne. It just came. But it's more of a division inside of yourself too, because you don't even know what to choose for yourself, which is to me, that's a big thing, because people want to live the way they used to live. And that's not happening anymore. There's just no way. And I don't think it's COVID. I think it's just because of the 50.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like a little injection in there that came in to say, this is what you need to do. But I think it's just a huge transformation in the world. It's huge. And I don't think people can really, handle it yet. It's tough for them, So, Susan?
Well, when we move from that brain, that head down into the heart, for me personally, it's been so expansive. I just feel like I keep getting stretched into this field that's so massive. And that takes a lot of getting used to and adjusting to, because we're not used to being so expanded.
Yes.
And, how do we find our feet? How do we walk in this expansion? And how do we create in this expansion? That's been a real test for me. Just, how big is this field and what do I do with it? Yeah.
So what you're saying is that it's, if we get into understand our heart, the heart expansion, which is so we're letting the mind go, correct? And that's the difficult part. That's the difficult part.
Absolutely.
Suzanne, sorry.
Well, I liked what you said about not living in the past, but we do have to look to the past to see to the future.
Yeah.
Those two dynamics work together, the ancestral part of where we came from when we were spiritual and intuitive, and moving into the future and being able to bring that with us. And when you talk about patience, I have to say, I am losing my patience. I am starting. There's a fire building.
It's true. It's really.
There's a fire building under me. All I'm saying is, I just hope you're not in front of me when this thing goes off, because.
Me too.
Yeah, it is.
It's very hard. I totally agree.
Yeah. And I think it's time. It's time for action. We went through the big pause. We went through the patience, and now it's going to be like, step on or step off, whatever. Let's get going here.
Absolutely.
So it's bigger. It's bigger than that. Just the heart chakra of expansion is also speaking the truth, because the truth is, it's like not having the patience anymore to be nice and to be covered up and to say, oh yeah, I can understand. I can feel that fluffy world that we used to live for a long time. This fluffy word doesn't exist anymore, because it's direct. You have to speak your truth. You have to be grounded, and it doesn't matter what people will do around you. See, right. Have you noticed that? I have noticed that I'm speaking my truth, and everybody either just disappears or they step to the next level and match me.
Right.
So that's also very interesting to watch, of the division, correct? The disappear or the stepping up. So that's another thing that's happening. That's what I see. Kathy?
No, I really relate to that idea of like speaking your truth and taking action, and this sense of ourself, what's divided inside of us. And I feel like we've all been really changed and transformed, but we're not even sure how in some ways. And so that division inside of ourself, it's like we're relearning something almost, and trying to understand and sort of find our way back. But the truth is a very big part of that, because it's sort of like the unnecessary things there's no room for them anymore in a way. And so we have to sort of really almost shed some of the stuff that doesn't work in our lives in an even bigger way. And I think that's also a little bit to that sense of action. I feel like action and truth really go well together in this sort of time. So yeah, and I think that comes into that sense of reckoning too. Truth is kind of helps you to get to that place.
Yeah, and I feel like we're getting a lot more grounded too. Like I said earlier, not that fluffiness anymore, you know? It's not that fluffiness of spirituality, and we live in a la la land and, you know, the woo woo land, as we're saying. So I don't know if we say that much anymore, because we're getting so grounded here. We're getting to feel what's happening inside of us. And I think that's I don't know if huger is a word, but that's a huge transformation that is about being grounded also. Susan?
Well, I like the word patience, because I no longer have patience for the fluffy stuff. I have work to do. I do not have time for the crap. You know, it's like I'm moving forward. I'm going to speak my truth, and I'm just going to keep moving forward, because seriously, there is work to be done, and I don't have time for all the other stuff. So I do not have patience for that anymore. I do not have patience for it.
Yeah. And Suzanne?
I don't know how to add to that. All I can say is people probably know what I'm talking about. It's not a literal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that, you know. Yeah, you're getting up, you just want to shake everybody up to like wake up and kind of smell the coffee and just kind of see what's going on, get rid of the fluffiness and the it's not even more, it's not a fluffiness. It's like, you know how we used to be so nice just to be nice, and it wasn't our truth.
Right.
That's my impatience with people, if that makes sense. I don't want to be that nice. I have something to gain. I just want to speak my truth and move on. You know, that's what I'm feeling. So I get the patience. Go ahead, Kathy.
I was just saying, I think with some of the stuff, like there's a lot of clarity that's part of this, even though there's this division, there's this truth, there's this impatience, there's this, I feel like there's also some real clarity that's coming through because we're ready to eliminate in some ways. Like you said, I have no patience, Susan, you said, I have no patience for this other stuff anymore. It's like we get much clearer. And, you know, so anyway, that's all.
And it's okay if you're kind of just finding yourself and you feel, you know, you do get a little high when you first start to understand how this all works, and you do get a little up there in the ethers, but you have to know when to let that go and realize that it's not Disneyland all the time. Put your feet on the ground and get to work. You know, you don't hang out every day.
We don't. And I think this is a lot of that. People say that the fifth dimension is more like lighter and living in the spirit world. But I think the fifth dimension is about really being very well grounded and how do I say, with no fear of being on this earth. Because when people get ungrounded, it's because they don't want to walk on this earth, correct? But I think fifth dimension is making you saying, you're totally here. Fight for it, move it, go for it. Don't live in, you know, in that your trauma past, or don't process that anymore. You know, don't get stuck about something that you dealt 20 years ago or something like that. So to me, that's huge on this part of the fifth dimension.
Yeah.
So any words for us to make this all, you know, yes.
No, just because, and I'm hoping that other people are feeling this as well. I feel a new maturity within myself. And so I'm hoping that everyone is starting to feel, even though it's tumultuous and a lot of emotions and a lot of things going on at the same time, maybe that impatience is because you feel a different maturity and you don't have time for the fluff or whatever. Because, I don't know how many times I can say maturity.
The world is growing up, the
Right.
people going through grown up stage, like no age is
Right.
a soul is getting to grow up, you know, to bigger level, to
Yeah.
become older, wiser, stronger. Yeah.
And I think that's part of it. It's time.
Anybody else has
We have
anything to
limited
say? So
time.
we can.
Are you delaying there, Zeffy? Can you hear me?
Okay.
No, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I
So-
can hear you. I can hear you.
The reason we feel this way also is because we know we have limited time on
Mm.
this plane.
Mm.
And when you start moving into
Mhm.
the fifth dimension, that's where time lives. And then it starts to speed up and then you're going, holy shit, I better get busy, because once you move through there, then everything goes like this again. But right now we have limited time in the sense of life in our body, to be
Right.
frank.
Right.
So
I feel the urgency. I feel the
Yeah, so
urgency.
it's a
yes, urgency.
I feel it. I do feel it.
okay. And Kathy?
I think you guys have said that all well. It's like, you know, welcoming our next level in a way is kind of where I feel we are. And like we're all kind of moving in that way. And, you know, sometimes there's joy and sometimes there's, you know, struggle. And I think we're kind of in that thing of really getting to a whole nother level of consciousness for ourselves and for others. So I think it's an interesting time in that way.
Okay. Well, thank you girls so much for us connecting and doing this again. And let's just see if we can get together again in the next 2 weeks now that our lives is settling down.
Sounds
Okay.
great.